Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of Engg.First. This is Sanhati Goswami, project lead at Perfeth. Our invitee today is Sayan, who is a data science professional with more than 9 years of working experiences in solving complex business cases with competitive technological tools. He is a team player and a positive influencer with excellent people management skills. His areas of technical expertise include Python, Flask, TK Inter, Power BI, microservices, etc., covering the domains like retail, CPG, supply chain, and financial services. With a personal interest in the field of machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, blogging, and mentoring, please welcome very talented and passionate Sayan Mukherjee on Engg.First. Hi Sayan, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Having you on
Finally,
First, yeah. So Sayan, tell us something about yourself. We would like to know about your interest, passion, and your professional journey so far.
Absolutely. So I have been a data science professional for almost the last 9 years, and I also, I am also an independent researcher. So I have a background in economics. And I did my graduation and post-graduation from West Bengal, Jadavpur University in economics. Mm-hmm. And since then, I have joined the corporate, right out of college, I joined a company back there in Calcutta, which was into market research. Mm-hmm. I spent quite some time over there. And at that point of time, there was not this hype and craze going on for Python, data science, machine learning, a lot of the jargons that we hear today. So the market wasn't, much like that probably. So at that point, things were much more simple in the sense that, there were probably a lot of these things, but we did not get a lot of exposure to machine learning, artificial intelligence. So I started off with a market research company. And from then gradually, then I came to Bangalore, I shifted here and then worked for one of the largest market research companies. It was called Ipsos. So I spent about 1.5 years there, and mostly I was into the statistical model building because I had statistics as a subject, and that was a part of my curriculum. So I was pulled into the statistical modeling, and then from there I kept on. I worked for about almost close to 9 years now, and I have switched different companies. I have in fact worked for some of the really good companies and really good clients actually. And right now I have taken a break, just to focus on my other priorities, I would say, because data science is not everything, and it's not the entire world. I have a lot of other things to do. Like, for example, I have a blog that I'm recently working on, and I'm quite passionate about it. So it's mostly about sharing my different stories, and also a channel to motivate and inspire young people who are maybe stuck at any point in their lives, be it in terms of their career or maybe any other field. So that's something that I parallelly do. And I also, like I mentioned, that I also love doing independent research. So that's kind of my schedule right now. That's mostly about me. I love traveling. I'm a foodie. Yeah.
Okay. So Sayan, that was great to know about you. And since you have mentioned about, blogging, you are very passionate about blogging. And I suppose your blog also cover the areas of mentoring, I suppose.
So not right now, I would say it's mostly in the form of I would say in the form of stories, or probably some motivational talks, or maybe some it's mostly around sharing some of my experiences, by which I can help people understand. And maybe if people reach out to me, maybe somewhere through LinkedIn or some of the other communities, I'm definitely there to help. But right now, there's no section on my blog as such, which definitely offers a kind of a service in terms of mentoring, when you say.
Yeah. So So coming to the next question, from your profile, we see that your working domain revolves around, retail, CPG, supply chain, and financial services, right? So would you like to share your experiences in this regard?
Yeah, sure. So mostly in terms of the exposure that I have so far, I spent a considerable amount of time in the retail and CPG space, I would say. Very recently, I have got exposure to supply chain. I wouldn't say that great because again, supply chain is a very vast field, and there are a lot of things in that. But mostly, so when I started off, like I said, I started off with market research. But as soon as I moved into analytics, one of the very first kind of projects that I was involved with was with one of the largest retailers at that point of time. And I used to work on a very interesting case study, which was media mix modeling. So what that entailed is basically, the client or any brand or a company, let's say, generally they have a lot of different advertising channels. They have a lot of budget to, advertise their products or brands across different channels. Now, the idea here was to build statistical models so as to isolate the effects of each one of those media tactics. So, for example, today, you see an advertisement of a Colgate paste maybe, but you do not make a purchase immediately, right? And you might go to the store and purchase the product after 7 days because there's some promotion going on. Or it could be like that you saw an advertisement, on an online channel or somewhere else. Maybe you did a Google search and saw some of the advertisement, but you went to a store and made a purchase. So that kind of a 360-degree angle needs to be there when we try to analyze, like, where is the customer starting from? Where was the customer first targeted, and where and when did he make the purchase? Now, there are so many, when it comes to so many media tactics like radio advertisements, television advertisements, you have paid search, magazines, a lot of those. It's very daunting to separate out the effects of each of those. Like for a company, it's really, for a brand, it's a very important question for them to be able to understand which tactic should I invest on more, right? And we kind of used to do this analysis, which was very interesting. And at that point of time, there was not this demand for R or Python. So at that point of time, when we just started off, SAS was really prevalent. So we used to work on SAS. And later down the line, I worked on many other interesting case studies. Some of them were around, what really drives a customer to a store. So we used to do a lot of segmentation kind of analysis where the idea was to understand, if I'm going to a store to buy certain products, based on what I buy, that gives a lot of insight to the retailer. Because just imagine you were walking to a store, right, and you're picking up certain products. Now, for a retailer, it makes a lot of sense to track your behavior, because that would give them an idea of what kind of products you buy together, in what quantities, so that they can promote or co-promote brands and products together. In fact, it's a very good analysis for manufacturers as well, because that kind of gives them an idea that what are the different maybe items that they should come up with in the market. It could be a different package size, or a different flavor, or maybe a different pricing altogether. So mostly around those kind of, I did a lot of other analysis. I mean, if we want to go into details of those, I could cover. But anyways, I mean, just to keep it short, I think, there are a lot of such analysis, like what happens if there's a change in the in-store displays, maybe if there's a change in the intensity of lighting, maybe at one part of the store. How does it impact conversion rates? Does it increase? Does it decrease? What really happens? So that kind of an understanding really helps retailers. And I mean, later on, the tech stack also gradually improved. So I got an opportunity to work on different other technologies which picked up later, right? Like Hadoop and Hive, big data came up. And then we have Python, obviously. And with Python, there's so much now. I mean, it's like a vast field. So I wouldn't say I've got an opportunity to work on a lot of things on Python, but yeah, I mean, to get started off, I think I got a fair exposure to Python until this point of time.
Okay, so I think you have put a lot of interesting insights about using analytics in the business world, and as you have told regarding the customer thing, retention thing, or wherever the entire process starts. So it's actually a cascade of effects, to attract the customers to the retail sectors. So you have put it really well. So coming to the next question, Sayan, you also seem to have an interest in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your vision for this segment as far as business growth is concerned?
Okay. See, one thing, I would have a lot of things to talk about in this particular case. One is, especially with the focus completely now on open source technologies. So like SAS was not open source, right? And now we have R or Python. There's a lot more scope. And when I say a lot more scope, it's for both. The people who are joining the workforce and also for companies. Because companies now do not have to invest heavily on those softwares or hardwares. So what that means really for companies is that they can experiment a lot, and they can experiment a lot of different things in probably a lot less time with a lot of less infrastructure that as compared to what used to be used before, right? That's on one hand. On the other hand, I think when it comes to the employees or the aspirants who are planning to move to this field, there's so much more opportunities in terms of AI and ML. Now, I can think of both ways. In terms of business, definitely there's a lot of scope in the sense that there's blockchain coming up, right? That's going to be revolutionizing the way that financial organizations mostly work. Even with robotic process automation, I think there's a lot of automation. Initially also there used to be a lot of automation, but I think this whole area of automation has got a new packaging, I would say, with robotic process automation. And even if you see the customer service in a lot of places, so there's no need of people right now sitting at customer service desks helping you out. So all of these are getting replaced slowly and gradually by chatbots. And these chatbots are being more and more intelligent just based on the data that they are being fed. So with the help of machine learning and artificial intelligence, what we are doing is we are trying to build more and more intelligent systems, right? And it serves, I think, it in a way serves humanity, because you are definitely tracking human behavior in one way, which has some privacy issues. And definitely as a customer or as an individual, you wouldn't want to be tracked all the time. That's one way or one perspective of looking at it. But on the other hand, I feel that you have an option to better serve, better understand their preferences, or even for the video analytics, for example, if we look into that kind of a space, this not only helps in the security, it also helps that you are getting tracked, but definitely it's ensuring a lot of security. So there are no security breaches or fraudulent activity doesn't take place. So these kind of things, I think, will be much, much better when we have more and more of these machine learning and artificial intelligence embedded systems coming up. And in fact, so a downside of this again would be, because you asked about the vision for machine learning and AI, I just wanted to cover another thought that comes to my mind right now. I think one other thing that could happen is that very few people who have access to the technical know-how will essentially get a lot of power. So a lot of power will be in their hands, while anybody who is probably not taking part or not taking active part in the trend might somewhere lag behind, or at least have a sense of feeling that I'm lagging behind somewhere. So I presented one of these So there was this internal conference and I presented a paper on the effects of artificial intelligence in sustainable health and happiness. And in that presentation, in fact, the paper is yet to be published, in fact. So in that presentation, I tried to cover this topic in more detail, where I kind of explained that definitely we are running after machine learning, artificial intelligence, a lot of those things. But is it purely driven by passion? I mean, not a lot of people are purely driven by passion. A lot of people would just hear the terms, the jargons, and they just want to, be updated or try to find them more relevant in the market. So if that is the goal, if the passion is less of the work or less of how we can serve society or solve a real problem, and it's more driven towards, I will get more money if I switch a career to machine learning or artificial intelligence, I somehow feel that that's not going to be very sustainable, because you would end up in a spiral, like a cobweb of different things running after money, which would definitely not be a very good thing for working in this field.
Okay. So Sayan, I think a lot of aspects in applied field situations comes into play when we talk about, machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I think you have given a very well put idea into this topic. Also, we also have to consider that the downsizing effect are also deteriorating at certain level. So that's also we need to be taken care of. Very well said. So coming to the next question. So what are your challenges so far and some remarkable experiences in your professional journey of more than 9 years now?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can think of, let me start off with maybe the experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so whatever I can think of at the moment, I think when I started off with this company in Bangalore, that was the start of my career. So at that point of time, everything was new, right? I mean, just fresh out of college, and we have studied theory. So like I was a student of economics and statistics. So I never got a chance to apply real life, whatever I learned to real life concepts. And the very first flavor of, applying what we have studied for so long in a practical field to solve a real business problem, I think that was the start of a remarkable journey altogether. And the kind of team that I was part of, the kind of projects that I used to work off. The first project, like I said, it was really a complex one for one of the largest retailers. And I remember one instance where, so generally we used to work for long hours. And in one of the scenarios I remember, so this was a VP, vice president, and he had an experience of almost 25 years of teaching in Illinois University in Chicago. And then he had some professional experience also. And this person, he was like all dedicated to solving this problem along with 3 or 4 of us who were in the team. And I remember one night we did not sleep. So even he was all awake. We were all in this conference room, and at the last moment, he decided that the model that we had built around 110 models altogether over a span of, I think, few weeks. And at the last moment, he decided that he would change everything completely. So we were all thinking that what's going to happen to us. And when you start off in your career, if something like this happens, you are clueless, like, is there something bad going to happen? Did you do something wrong, or was it something else? So that was what was going on in all of our minds. But we pulled through that situation very well. And that was one of the instances where I felt that, a lot of people talk about teamwork, right? But not a lot of people really mean what teamwork is supposed to mean. So in adverse situations, I have seen a lot of people, play the blame game. So if there's an adverse situation in the team, probably you couldn't meet a client expectation, then there's a tendency often to, play a blame game that, this is your fault, you should have done that. But that's not the concept of a team. So that was one of the most remarkable experiences I had, that, I really understood what a team means. And if there's somebody who is putting in effort, you ideally shouldn't put the blame on somebody. It's your responsibility as a whole team to back each one of them. So that is one of the remarkable experiences. And again, later in my career, this was a company where I stayed for quite a long period of time. And I think that's a great place to work, where I have worked recently. And not only work, I mean, they kind of, help you grow personally also a lot more. So it's not only professional development in terms of personality, or maybe you get to work on different kind of things. Maybe you are interested in, let's say, painting or singing. So it's not only long work hours, but they will motivate you to bring out the best out of yourself. So that is one other experience I had. And there are a lot of, such experiences, very, small pieces of experiences, but which make a lot of impact. Like, for example, small tokens of appreciation, verbal appreciation. I got them a lot of times. And each of those moments really mean a lot to me.
Okay, so Sayan, I think from whatever you have shared with us, it's we can evidently say that every experience, comes with a challenge. It's all about the challenges that we face, and then we experience the entire thing. So that was really interesting to know about, your experiences and challenges. Lastly, I would like you to, send out a message to the engineers community out there.
Okay, so I thought of maybe a list of things which are very important. I somehow felt one of them was, so I recently posted one article on LinkedIn where I told about the Lucas theory, about the chaos theory, which was proposed by Lucas long back. And that's a very interesting read. And also I had recently published one article on Medium where I mentioned that, when you are especially starting off, like if you're starting off with a career in data science, you should be very cautious about where you are joining. Now, your future often depends on what is the starting point that you choose, right? So for example, you start a career path today, clueless about, when you are fresh out of college, you really do not have a lot of idea about where to start from. You randomly choose a company, right? And that's a very important decision, I feel, because right now the situation is that there are so many companies coming up, right? There are not many barriers to entry as it used to be. So even with very low investment, with very low, maybe, I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but even with very low skills, people would end up, starting off with a company. And now they would roll out offers. Now, as an employee, you should be very cautious to what company you are joining. What is the structure of the team, or what is the kind of work they do? What are the company ethics? A lot of those things. So definitely, I would say the first thing to keep in mind is not to rush. I see a lot of folks in different communities and social channels. They are kind of rushing. I mean, we need to learn data science. We need to pick it up. Those kind of attitudes. But honestly, data science is a very vast field. And I'm not to discourage, but definitely people should take it slow. Rather than jumping on jargons or just picking up one skill and calling yourself a data scientist is not something that's really, would be ideal. So that is one thing. There are a lot of, I would say, a lot of advertisements going on here and there where people promise that, come to our courses, our training centers, and we will make you data scientists in 3 months. If you are absolutely, clueless, spend some time, do some research, definitely will not be a data scientist in 3 months. Not even in probably 6 or 1 year, 6 months or a year. Okay. And what else? I think mostly that. And it's a very good field in terms of the ample opportunities that machine learning or artificial intelligence has to provide. The only thing is you have to have a passion for the field. You need to understand what is it that you are really looking for. Is it only the money part, because data scientists are earning maybe more than the average other career paths? do you want to shift because of that? If that is the sole reason, then definitely, you wouldn't be able to enjoy the flavor of this field, right? So that thing needs to be kept in mind, and also keep a tab on your other parameters in life, like your health, your happiness. Don't run after machine learning, artificial intelligence all the time, and at least try to be intelligent in managing your own health and happiness, rather than doing everything on machines and data.
Yeah, so Sayan, that's a very important message. And also the fact that the clear message that you have sent out of not rushing with the career, but one needs to have an ease and understanding of the entire field, and one needs to keep a check of the interest, and that's how passion for something works, right? So that's very important, and you have really put it really well. So I think that's it, Sayan. Thank you so much for coming on Engineering First.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi viewers, if you liked our episode of Engineering First with Sayan Mukherjee, then please like this video, share this with your friends and your professional network, and keep supporting us. Thank you.